before we get in the video, my last video on Clockwork Vanilla did pretty well in terms of views, but unfortunately over 90% of the people watching that video weren't subscribed to the channel, so a sub would be greatly appreciated, and the best thing about it is that it's free. Right, so if you've been living under a rock for the past few weeks, the Philadelphia Fusion have been stomping basically every team, and some might even saying that they're the best team in the league, or at least top 2 in competition against the San Francisco Shock, and maybe against other teams in the league. If you already know about the changes that have happened to the Fusion offseason, skip to this point in the video, it will be somewhere on the screen. Just last week they cleaned the NYXL 3-1, of which the NYXL were clearly the favourites by the Overwatch analysts on Watchpoint, and while scraping the win off the Defiant, this was purely because they were running, as Chips would say, meme shit, basically, i.e. Somber Genji Dive. The reason why the Fusion attracted so much attention in comparison to the Shock is that last season they were middle of the pack, and now they're definitely an S-tier team. One of the key players who changed dramatically was, you guessed it by the title, Sado. For reference, on the screen right now are some of the stats from last season, and he was considered one of, if not the weakest players on the Fusion roster. He clearly struggled in the GOATS meta, even up against mid-tier teams, with star DPS players such as Carpe unable to play Zarya at a high enough level when needed. 222 thankfully brought the end to the GOATS meta, allowing some breathing room for the DPS of the Fusion to do as well as they did in the first season of the Overwatch League. Now, the build-up to the Season 3 of OWL was hectic for the Fusion, with accusations of nepotism being tossed around by, late November, from the signing of Chips to the Fusion, causing a lot of controversy around the team. But that drama is essentially dead, so I won't mention it from now on. Fusion made quite a lot of changes in the offseason, with a lot of players leaving and joining the team, so here's a quick recap of who left and joined the team from around about October. First up, both of the co-head coaches of the Fusion left, who were Hayes and named Hiwi, or named Hui, or wherever the fuck you pronounce his name. Second off is support player Neptuno leaves the team, alongside British DPS player Kib and Fusion University god Elk. Now here's the big change. On October 25th, KDG is announced as head coach of the Philadelphia Fusion. Number 4, the players who joined the team were Funny Astro and Alarm as the two support players, Ivy as the May player, and Fury as the Diva player from London Spitfire, who had won the Overwatch League 2 years ago. Finally, number 5, the last few changes were that Chipsa and Heese joined the team, with Snillo leaving. Now we're up to date with the Fusion roster. Let's take a look at Fusion's most recent games.
Yeah, Matrix and Sado starts pushing his way through. Fire Strike. They try to build up. Gets the Shatter online. Swings. Finds two. Drops the hammer. It's the rest of them. The Immortality Field will buy them some time, but Sado now has one back at him up. Another swing. Another 2 kills.
He's going to get Nano too, so he's going to present a little bit more of a threat. Oh, the perfect Shatter. Straight through the shield. Self-destruct on top. Beast's gonna come through, Astro.
So, I'd say he's doing pretty well so far. Now, I think it's important to take his performance with a decent pinch of salt. We haven't seen 6 teams play yet, including the Shock, who had won last year, and I think that may be a premature, or a bit premature, to start making power rankings when we don't even know how each team plays. But with that being said, I don't think these games can be considered flukes per se. Watching this live and seeing the chat flooded with Sado Stonks with the exclamation marks and the rising wrath emoji is probably what made the inspiration for this video in the first place. So, why are Sado Stonks rising? Well, a variety of factors have to be taken into account. First off, the Fusion have a new head coach who may be Coach Krusty version 2. He's had experience coaching a team called Mosaic Esports, which were an EU contenders team competing back in 2018, now known as the Six Snakes, and he's also the former head coach of the Seoul Dynasty until his contract expired mid-October, then he joined the Fusion. However, in my opinion, I feel that the changed support backline from Boombox and Neptuno to Funny Astro and Alarm were the main reasons why Sado is generally doing much better than he's ever done before. Despite him playing a bit too aggressive on the Temple of Anubis defense, as you can see, I think that's certainly a positive in the bigger picture, as he's trusting his backline much more than he used to, and showing how there's finally some form of synergy between the flex support and the main tank. Sado even made up for it. This may be due to KDG's coaching to Alarm, teaching him to support Sado as much as possible, but this may be too simplified of an explanation for Sado's success, and, we will never truly know. Another reason could be the introduction of 222. Running Goats is very different to how Ryan plays now, and Solo, he doesn't have to worry about taking 25% more damage than what he's used to. He doesn't have to worry about how quickly everyone in the Goats matchup receives ult charge. Solo doesn't have to worry about Carpe, bubbling times on Zarya, and now he's got one of the top off tanks in the league playing as one of the most powerful off tanks, D.Va. All this combined, Sado is allowed to be a lot more aggressive with how he plays, especially with the removal of Zen Discord, with the only thing he has to worry about being the R nade, of which is mostly mitigated by Poco anyway. The additional shielding of Poco also allows him to play both passive and aggressive, with the threat of the Orisa damage as well as the defensive retreat of her shield. I think this Reddit comment I'll put on the screen right now sums up why he's been doing so well, and it should be, pretty self-explanatory. Back in OWL Season 2, perhaps Neptuno and Boombox were unable to support Solo during the GOAT era alongside Carpe's aggressive Zarya, but blaming his failure last season on his teammates is relatively unfair, since he was considered a D-tier main tank at his best, and I assume Carpe was starting to feel more in his comfort zone, rearing the end of OWL Season 2, despite him not performing very well in the Widow one-on-one matchups during his games, but I'd still say, without 222 Roadblock, we'd still be seeing Carpe on the off tank, and nobody wants to watch Carpe on tank. Despite all this success, some are still doubting whether Sado has truly improved or whether it's just external variables such as 222 being introduced and him having a stronger backline that's making the illusion that he's a good main tank. After all, surely any half-decent main tank in the league could benefit from having Funny Astro and Alarm as their backline. Despite the Fusion's success, many are still saying that Shock would easily 3-0 sweep the Fusion, but the only time the Fusion got up against Shock is in late July, at which point I still highly doubt that we'd have Ryan D.Va May as meta. Even if they are the best at their current meta, so Fusion's number one spot may be compromised later in the league. Another thing to keep in mind is that hero bans are going to be introduced into the Overwatch League based off of pick rate data from this week of the Overwatch League as well as the following week. As you can see on the screen, there's a screenshot of John Spector, the VP of Overwatch Esports, giving an instance of how the hero pool system will be implemented. The way it works, if you don't already know, is that if the pick rate exceeds 10% for any given character in the Overwatch League, they are eligible to be banned randomly. So if it was based off the data in week 2 of the Overwatch League, you can see what characters will be potentially banned. Since it is the week 4, the date of these bans will be on Sunday the 1st of March on Watchpoint, where we will see the characters that will be banned for the following week. For reference, only one tank and one support will be banned out of the eligible list of characters, whereas it will be 2 DPS characters that will be banned off the list, making a total of 4 bans. So why is this potentially worrying for the Fusion? More so Sado. Well, all we've seen from him is play Reinhardt and no other main tank character. Even if you believe Sado is now an A-tier tank Ryan player, we simply don't have enough information to know whether he can play another role when hero pools are introduced as of next week. Now obviously, KDG and the Fusion have prepared for this, and so have every other team in the Overwatch League, but considering how poor his Ryan play was last season compared to now, and what I assume is how much time he sunk into improving his Ryan play, I don't know whether he is capable of playing any of the other main tanks, such as Orisa, Sigma, Winston or Hammond to a similar degree of what his Ryan play is at right now. So in conclusion, Sado's doing pretty well so far in the first 4 weeks of the Overwatch League, but with the incoming addition of hero bans, as well as the close wins against teams that typically aren't considered grand final contenders, Sado may be prone to struggle later on in the league. His reliance on his supports, may well be an issue. If Funny Astro and Alarm aren't performing as highly as they were, I wouldn't be surprised if Sado struggled because of it. But these, in my opinion, are unimportant issues. Alarm and Funny Astro are extremely talented, including the rest of the Fusion roster. If Arna gets banned, Alarm can go to Moira. If Lucio becomes banned, Boombox could sub in for Funny Astro and play Zen Arna or Zen Mercy. The talent of the Fusion roster, as well as their morale and their clutch ability, seems to be pretty high, and I reckon on later in the league they can adapt to more situations. Just to add on top of the Fusion morale, Alarm on Twitter has been doing some trash talking recently, obviously in a friendly manner, towards J. Jonak from the NYXL and Beast, the main tank from the Defiant, which just shows how confident the team is and how confident he is in his own ability. Obviously, this is not ironic, this is just for drama purposes and just to stir up the crowd and get more viewers watching, and build more hype around the Philadelphia Fusion. But yeah, but only time will tell, and for the time being, Sado Stonks are rising, and I would certainly invest. Well, thanks for watching, if you watched this far, And make sure to subscribe, like, and comment if you enjoyed. My next video will be on the coronavirus or COVID-19 in the Overwatch League, so make sure to stick around for that.